So now that we have ourselves set up where we have a red dot attachment and all that works, we want to go through and set up a forward grip attachment. So we're going to do very much the same thing. We have our optic here with that SKG attachment component and our BP gun. I'm going to go ahead and rename this one to SKG attachment underscore optic. And likewise, I'm just going to Control D to duplicate and rename this one to forward grip. So on the forward grip, I want to remove the default attachment because I don't want it to spawn an optic, and I want to make a new attachment socket. So S underscore attachment forward grip. That's going to be the name. So we just have to go to the mesh, same way we did with the optic, add a new socket of that same name, add a preview attachment of that forward grip. So SM underscore vert grip. That one there. Rotate it 90 degrees and position it. So we can see, just like the optic, it is currently X forward. So we want to make sure we rotate that to be Y forwards to match everything else. So same thing, we can just simply export it out, open it up, and go down to the import rotation and just add 90 degrees and simply re-import the mesh. So we can save that, and there we go. It's now rotated how we want. So I'm going to put I'll just put it right there. I think that's good enough. So we can save that and go back to our BP gun. So the only thing we need to do now is simply create the blueprint. So let's go back to our tutorial folder, blueprints, create a new actor class called BP underscore vertical grip. So in here, add a static mesh, make it the root, and set the mesh to be the vertical grip. And then the only thing we have to add is the offhand IK component. So likewise to all the other things, we need to make a initialization and then offhand IK data asset. So let's go to our data assets, create a new folder called, let's call it a forward grip. So create a new SKG data asset, offhand IK, initialization settings. So DA underscore offhand init underscore vertical grip. Actually, let's just call it forward grip because we can use it for other grips of the same type. Okay, once we have that, so we have the offhand IK tag. In this case, we're going to make this one forward grip. Then we have the offhand IK mesh name, which is static mesh, so that matches. And then we need a left hand IK socket name, so S underscore left hand IK. So we need to add that to our vertical grip mesh, go to the socket manager, and just simply add that as a socket. And I'll position it off to the side for now, but we now have that socket. So we can save that, go to the vertical grip, offhand IK component, and just plug it in. Then we need the offhand IK settings data asset. So this one, same thing, go to offhand IK settings, DA underscore offhand IK, I'll just call it offhand settings underscore vertical grip, because this can be reused for all vertical grips. And I already do have a pose. Searching for vertical, we have the vertical grip that can be used accordingly. So all we have to do is just plug that in right there to the offhand IK settings data asset, and we're good to go. And all this grip is a simple vertical grip pose because it takes from the left hand and basically makes the animation only apply to the hand. So now we can close everything down except for BP underscore gun and these two, because we want to make it to where the default attachment for the forward grip is the corresponding BP underscore vertical grip. So now when I hit play, you can see we are in that correct pose, but the position is off. So what we want to do is go ahead and adjust the socket around to where it matches the pose or the position that we want. So that seems pretty darn close. So I just want to go a little higher. And I think that's pretty good. So we can save that. And there we go. So we now have our grip. So let's go ahead and make it replicated. So mark it as replicates really quick. Check with 2 clients. And we have that same collision problem. So let's go to our vertical grip, go to the mesh, and just set the collision to no collision. And now we can move around. So you can see we have the correct pose on both clients. So we are good to go. There's our vertical grip attachment, and that's all we needed to do. All right. So I'm trying to think, there was one more thing. Oh, yes. There is some more things that you can do in regards to this. So I want to actually give a general example really quick. So what I want to do is just offset. Let's pretend this is a sideways grip. So you can see it is off to the side, but our hand is still in the vertical position. And that's because by default, the offhand IK does not apply rotation, but we can change that very easily. So if we go back to our SKG SF core, go to Animation, Layers, Procedural, and open up our Procedurals layer, we just need to go to our offhand IK section here, and you can see we have a Transform Modify Bone, and that just takes in an offhand IK location. We also have a offhand IK rotation as well. So to plug that in, let's just select the node. We can go down to rotation, expose as pin, set the rotation mode to add to existing, and set the rotation space to parent bone space, and plug it in. So we can now compile, save, and close that. And when I hit play now, you can see he is holding onto the grip. So what I want to do is I want to select the mesh, open that on up just so we can visually see it. And what we can do is rotate the hand. So if we need to do some custom work on the rotation side to get it to match, we can very easily do so. So I'm going to go ahead and revert that back. And then I want to remove the default attachment for the grip so I can make sure it has the right hand here. And you can see it does not. So what we want to do is we want to do the exact same thing. Open up the AR4, go to the left-hand IK socket, and we want to, wrong direction, rotate it. So that way we can get the grip around, about where we want. So I think actually that was about right. I know the pose didn't quite reach the hand, but we can at least get it pretty close. So yeah, I'm going to do it there. Okay, that's cool, I guess. But anyways, there we go. It's definitely a little low, but yeah, it's good enough. And there we go. So now we can control the rotation as well with the hand if we if we so desire. And that's just in case we want to have it to where we can have we can share the same vertical grip pose regardless of the way it's rotated. So it doesn't matter how it's going to be on the gun. It just makes it to where we can have one pose for all vertical grips without having to remake it or have, a special one for 45 degrees, a special one for 90 degrees, you know what I mean. So we can go ahead and set that back as the default. I am going to lower the red dot really quick because that is quite high. Probably just where it just barely seeable over the rear sight, which that is. And I'd say that is good. All right. So that is pretty much everything in regards to the setting up a vertical grip. Likewise with the optic, it's quite simple. And once you do this once or twice, you'll pretty much know it. It's kind of hard to screw up. But anyways, with that out of the way, I will see you in the next video.